Something that women's boxing misses, and that is characters, and that is personalities, and that is real hype and fun and stories and rivals and these kind of things.
Ebanie, the blonde bomber Bridges.
So you do things very differently. Talked your way into getting this opportunity.
The defense isn't there.
My goal is just to get the views, get the people watching, and we're going to prove that women's boxing is exciting. I know what I can do for women's boxing, and I know my character, I know the way I fight. I knew that it would be exciting. I just knew that once everyone would see me fight, that they would, one, give me respect, and two, become even bigger fans. We can be pretty, and we can be sexy, and we can be feminine, and we can box, and we can fucking box hard.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Let's get into this. Well, listeners of In the Booth podcast, we have you asked and we responded. You know, we posted a story who you want to see on the show, and we got one of them on. So this week's guest is, in my opinion, one of the most important new figures in the landscape of women's boxing. She was till recently a math teacher, right? PE teacher as well. Bachelor's in mathematics, master's degree in teaching. And even a former bodybuilder, the whole resume, and the future world champion in boxing, Ebanie Bridges, the blonde bomber.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good, Nick. How are you?
I'm very good, yeah. How is, you're now in Philadelphia, right? You're based there permanently?
No, I'm based here for my camps.
Okay.
It's kind of come across as permanently because I couldn't really go home after my last fight because of just the strict rules with COVID and quarantine in Australia.
Yeah.
And flights home were like $10,000, $15,000. And I just thought, what am I going to do? I'm going to go home and, for like 2 weeks in a hotel, pay $3,000 out of my pocket to then get there, see like friends for a week, and then have to fly out anyway because I always do my camps here in Philadelphia. So it was just like I just stayed here. And yeah, I've got this fight in August, so I'll be here till then.
Okay, that's pretty soon, yeah. How'd you end up getting in touch with this and finding this your camp, your gym in Philadelphia? Like,
my managers, I signed with an American manager end of 2019. I had a fight here in America in 2020, just beginning of 2020, obviously before COVID. And I came here for that camp, and I really liked it, and I learned a lot, and I think it's really valuable. So my last few fight camps, I've been here, like the fight that I was supposed to fight with Rachel Ball, I came over here to just usually like the last 3 to 4 weeks, because I do most of my camp in Australia to get into conditioning and everything, and then I come over here just for the fine tuning. Yep. So this is the first time I've been here for like a whole camp, which has been brilliant because a lot of the times it's always like, damn, imagine if we had a whole camp, like how much I could improve, because I learn so much and I learn so fast and I pick things up so easily, but we usually only have like 3 to 4 weeks. So this time it's been pretty good.
Nice. Well, I'm excited to see what you got in store then, because for me, like one of the big reasons like I wanted you on is because so your most recent fight with Shannon, it was that was for me, it's now my reference point sort of for people when they ask me about where women's boxing has gone, because it was such a banger, like, and it wasn't just, it was like, there's a lot of talk about the promotion beforehand that went into it and stuff, but I think there was probably a lot more eyeballs on it than it would have been if it would have been a different opponent of your level.
If it was a different opponent?
Yeah, like I think the you two were just great dancing partners in terms of promotion, and afterwards just the fight, because I feel like it might have been Shannon's toughest fight as well. Yeah. And I would have liked to see what would have happened if your eye didn't get swollen up. Like that's...
Yeah, I mean, you and me both, and you and everyone else. I mean, I only had 4 weeks notice for that fight to prepare for Shannon. I went through 3 different time zones in 3 weeks, 3 different continents in 3 weeks. I get adjusted to Philly, then I had to leave to the UK, and then, you know what I mean, from Australia. And I just had a fight. So it was kind of like all very, very rushed. but I embraced the moment, and me and Shannon was always going to be a good fight, and I knew that from the start. We have that rivalry as well, and funnily enough, her being British and me being Australian, it's usually like the Brits versus the Australians, but it was like the Brits versus the Brit, because I had all the British fans, which was really interesting. It was quite interesting. And, my whole goal and mission about that fight, obviously I want to be a world champion. I want to win, but I wanted to use that fight to propel women's boxing, because I just know what I have. I know what I can do for women's boxing, and I know my character. I know the way I fight. I knew that it would be exciting. Because she could have been in there with anyone else, and there's no way that people would have tuned in. You know what I mean? And it wouldn't have been the same kind of fight. But if you watch a lot of my fights, they're very action-packed. That's the way I fight. Everyone loves an aggressive kind of Mexican style fighter. Like, everyone just, we appreciate pure boxers, but we also love that fight. That real kind of pressure fighting style. Explosive and strong. So I just knew that once everyone would see me fight, that they would, one, give me respect, and two, become even bigger fans. So yeah, and I wanted to get as many people to watch as possible. I didn't give a shit who they were. I didn't give a fuck, as long as they were watching. I didn't care if it was the soccer dads, the football dads, or if it was like kids, or people that aren't even like football fans, and they're just watching to see the blonde bomber, because they've seen the talk before or the lingerie or whatever. I don't care. But what I cared was this, getting people to tune into that fight. And I think that's exactly what I did. So for me, it was a success, because I got not only me, but women's boxing got a lot of new fans from that fight. So, and it does take two to tango. Me and Shannon were great partners in that. And I honestly believe that then another fight would be even better. But I'm not sure if that's going to happen. So unfortunately for the fans, but I would love it to happen, but I'm not going to be holding my breath on that fight.
Well, I feel like, so Eddie Hearn, it was Matchroom Boxing, right, that set it up then?
Mm-hmm.
And they are always forward thinking. And I feel like they're the closest to competing. There's also a discussion always with MMA and boxing, like at least where women's MMA is at now. Yeah, and where women's boxing is going, because I think this is a very exciting time for women's boxing, where it's like sort of reaching closer to that level. Eddie Hearn is one of the people that's pushing that forward a lot. And definitely. I think the numbers you did, at least I think the second time the numbers you're going to do are even higher, probably. Because considering how the first one went, it's always money, it's all business. I think
exactly.
It's definitely in the cards.
But some people, I agree, but unfortunately it's not up to Eddie Hearn. He can't force a fighter to fight. He can't force a fighter's team to take a fight. You know what I mean? You can't, unfortunately. I mean, I know and Eddie Hearn knows how big of a fight that is and the money that would make. He knows. Everyone knows. But it was a very risky fight for Shannon, and it was a very close fight. I don't care what the judges say. If she goes in with me again, she's going to lose. And she knows that. You know what I mean? She's not ready to lose again yet. So I don't think she cares about the money. I don't think she cares about that kind of thing. I think she wants to go and do her thing, which is fine. She wants to go and, defend against whoever and try and unify, and that's fine before she gives me another chance. But it's unfortunate. I don't really care about the money either. I just want to give the fans good fights. And I just know that'll be a great fight. There's a few people that I would love to fight just for that reason. I think it's just going to be a great fight. But yeah, obviously that one's a big one.
So for those who don't know, of course, going back to that, criticism, it was more like from Shannon's side, the criticism of, because you weighed in wearing lingerie, and you said everyone is standing there in their underwear when they're weighing in. So it's not really. I think it was like, I feel like your position was sort of misunderstood as well, because I understood it more as like she thought it was more. I feel that you were sexualizing it and having people watch for the wrong reasons, but for me it was more like the whole idea was. As long as the buzz is created, and it also took Shannon's retaliation sort of to create that buzz more, that those clips, we live in a social media age, those clips of those back and forth and the criticism just made it be, just posted everywhere, which got the fight a lot more attention. And then add to that the fact, of course, that, sorry, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, that was my point. I did that on purpose. yeah, she didn't really want to have any back and forth. She was trying to avoid me as much as she could in the bubble, because she just wanted to focus on her fight, and that's cool. I don't need to do that to focus on my fight. You know what I mean? I can still have fun and banter. That's my personality, and that's how I am. I came into that fight completely focused. It was, there was nothing I can fault myself on that fight. I don't think there's anything I could have done differently, really. I mean, yeah, like obviously there's things you can improve on, but I definitely don't think there was any issues pre-fight that gave me any bad performance or anything like that. But yeah, you need to do that in boxing, especially women's boxing. It's something that women's boxing is missing, and that is characters, and that is personalities, and that is real hype and fun and stories and rivals and these kind of things that women's boxing doesn't have, and I think we need it. And as for my underwear, we just all weigh in underwear, don't we? The difference is I got maybe I got like big bolt-ons that my chest is bigger, so it's like, oh wow, there's a female fighter with boobs. Oh my god, how does she box with those boobs? Like does it like hinder her performance? Like, oh my god, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, did it look like it hindered my performance? Like I don't remember giving myself a black eye or knocking myself out with my boobs, and I don't remember them getting in the way of my punches, that's for sure. So when people think that, it's just that they're not used to it, because there is a big stereotype around women's boxing and around women in sport, which has been around for years, which is slowly changing, and I want to be one of those ones that change that. It's okay for you to be a tomboy, and it's okay for you to be like that in sport. I'm not asking everyone to be glamorous and pretty and very feminine, but I also want to show that other side that, hey, we can be pretty and we can be sexy and we can be feminine. And we can box, and we can fucking box hard. You know what I mean? It's not just because I look like this that I'm going to go in there and box. And that means that I can't box. I've got boobs and I look good, so she can't box. You know what I mean? And that's the that's the thing that I'm trying to change. You know what I mean? We see it in the MMA. I don't follow MMA, but I know that I know there's that girls have no problem being pretty in the MMA as well, and it's not an issue. So
and they're not really being seen like that, because I watch quite a lot of MMA, and it's not. I mean, of course, there's always a faction of fans that sees that, but I think mostly it's not the case.
It's not about the looks.
Really, it's a factor for their maybe Instagram following or whatever, but not for why you're tuning into the fight. If you suck, you suck. If you're good, you're good.
Whereas I got completely judged and dismissed by so many people just because of my looks in boxing, because I don't look like everyone else, or because I'm just different. You know what I mean? And I have absolutely no problem embracing that and being like, so what, I look fucking good. I worked hard for my body. I did bodybuilding for 8 years. Like, I fucking dieted hard. I trained hard. I'm gonna stand on those scales and fucking show it off. You know what I mean? Like, because I feel good, and I'm proud of my prep, and that's like the beginning of the first step to then jumping in the ring the next day, and all the hard work. So
got to be allowed to.
So it's like,
be proud of it,
do I need to do I need to apologize because I like to wear nice underwear?
Yeah, I think it's a great it helps you even more, actually, the fact that it's like, this is a pretty woman who's beating people up who can fight. Exactly. Like, that could be the brand. And there's a lot of a lot of women leaning into that in MMA as well, actually. Sorry, yeah. Yeah,
exactly. And it's pays a different path for younger girls that don't look like tomboys, and girls that are a little bit more feminine, girly and Barbie-ish or whatever, and get constantly told, oh, you're too pretty to do this, or that you're girly, you shouldn't be doing that. I want to be like, no, like, it doesn't matter. Like, you can do whatever you want. Just because, I look the way I look doesn't mean that I don't want to go in and fight hard, and doesn't make me scared of being punched in the face or ruining my face. Like, it's not like that. You know what I mean? It's like when that Paige vendor, I don't know, Paige Vincent, when she started like the bare knuckle boxing, like, everyone's going on about it, like, who the fuck, man, we're not in this sport. If we cared about like getting punched in the face or our face being ruined, like, we wouldn't be boxing. Like, honestly, like, maybe people that, I don't know, maybe people that don't have looks, or maybe people that whatever, they think so highly of it, like, oh my god, like, like, why would you want to ruin your face, or
if I had this face, I wouldn't do this. Yeah,
right. But we don't give, like, I don't give a fuck. It's just looks, it's the exterior, you know what I mean?
Yeah, with Paige, it's interesting.
I still train.
Well, Paige, because she has she doesn't have an OnlyFans, she has her own platform, but it's like an OnlyFans thing, and I guess that's a lot of the argument, like, oh, but you make most of your money there, so why would you do it? But I mean, at the end of the day, is it really going to
Making
affect
money is
the
business.
following?
You got to feed,
Yeah.
got to feed your kids. You got to set up your future. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that's what she can make money out of. I mean, if I wasn't a school teacher, then I'd probably do something like that as well. But I do actually love my teaching job, and I love being a
you're
teacher.
still a
So I
teacher?
do want to go. I'm not while I'm here in Philadelphia, but I have a job. I definitely have a job waiting for me when I go back home
okay.
with my school. I had to give up my job because I didn't come home for 6 months. I can't really be like, hey, like, so, but I'll always have a job to go back to with my school, because I've done a lot for that with that school, and I love teaching. I don't care. Like, I'll always want to be in there and inspire the younger generation and put my values and my, what I think and believe, to try and help, the youth come through and stuff like that. Like, I just thrive off that. So
what was your students' reaction sort of to the fighting? Like, do they tune in?
I actually had one of my students do a whole assignment, like, for his PE class on my last fight, with like my eye and everything like this. Like, they're cool, man. Like, my students that, like, I love them. They love me. Like, they're unreal. They're sad, obviously, that I've got to go overseas, and like, they all miss me and stuff like that. But I always just say to them when I come back, is like, don't worry, when I come back, I can have even more bragging rights. You know what I mean? Because I'll be a world champion, or have a title, I'll have a belt and stuff. But yeah, they're fully supportive of it. I run a boxing program at the school. I have been since I started both of the schools I've been at. I've always started up a boxing program for the disengaged and the, like, anxiety kids, or just kids to help them out and stuff. So yeah, I have pretty good relationships in that sense with the kids, and all they think is pretty cool that their teacher bashes people for a living.
Yeah, do you think it helps you with like disciplining as well, that they're not going to cross the line?
Yeah, because, I mean, that
it's not that like hitting kids isn't the thing anymore, but
right, yeah, but they kind of. I actually think they think that I still could hit them, like, because sometimes the way they act, I'm like, do you actually believe they think that I'm going to hit you or something? Because they'll be like, oh, miss, you're like, you want to, but miss will bash you. I'm like, I'm not freaking bash you. But I think my discipline in the classroom comes with the environment that I set in the classroom, and that is a very positive environment and a very self-belief and a very ambitious environment. So I get a lot of respect of my students. I respect my students. So it kind of works both ways. I don't need to like go hard, crazy discipline, because I make them want to be good and make them want to be better. You know what I mean? And that's what I try and instill in them.
Yeah, it's like kind of now I understand, because I'm trying to imagine, like, if my teacher was a professional boxer, how I would have reacted.
I do sometimes maybe bribe them and tell them if they have a really good if they're really good in class, or if they do well in their exams, then I'll show them some of my boxing and me bashing some people up, and they love it. I'll show you my knockouts. Cool, yeah. I'll show you some of me knocking people out and sparring and stuff like that, and they love it. So yeah, no, it's good, but
oh yeah, no, it's but I think it's more like they to them it's more like there's a superhero or something. It's like a role model sort of standing there, like, yeah, it's like everybody wants to have Batman or Superman.
Well,
as a teacher,
it's funny, right? because when I left school to come overseas, I was at like 50,000 followers. Oh my God, miss, you're so famous! Like, my teacher's famous. 50,000 followers or something like this.
Oh man, imagine these kids,
and they all want to do like
yeah,
and they want to do like TikTok videos. Miss, do a TikTok video with me, get me famous.
Oh, the kids are clout chasing.
Students. Bad. No, seriously.
Why is so why maths is my question, I guess.
I absolutely love math.
Yeah, because it's one of those things you just like either love it or hate it.
Yeah, I love it. It's my best subject in school. It was when I finished my senior school. It was like I got like one of the highest marks in the school. But I pretty much failed everything else, to be like, I'm not gonna bullshit, like, because I didn't care about anything else really. And then I took some time off because I was doing a mechanics trade. And then when I finished that trade, the apprenticeship, I went to uni, and I was like, you know what I want to do? Like, I always wanted to be like a teacher. Like, I had a really bad, like my teens was a write-off, but it was really bad. I went through a lot of things that were really traumatic, and I was like, I wish I always wanted to go back and be a teacher because I wanted to be in that like environment with those younger kids to let them know that like you can change your life and that is like not to give up. You know what I mean? Like it's never kind of too late because school was fucked. Like honestly, school was fucked for me except for math. And then I was like, well, what can I do? Like I can't read or write like very well. Like I was really bad with that. And so I was like, well, I'm good at math, so I'll just do math. Like, and then I did my degrees in mathematics. And then when I went into my master's degree, it was still math, but there was a lot of reading and writing. And a funny story, I failed in my master's degree. I failed my first semester like two units because my writing was terrible. Like it was like, what is this? Like you need to go and do some essay writing and stuff because I don't write. Like I did my degrees as all math. Like I didn't write. It was all exams, you know. So then I was like, shit, I don't really have time to like go back and like go to the library and do essay courses. You know, I'm juggling 3 jobs.
Like, yeah.
I'm juggling like 3 jobs and like training full time before and after school, uni and school, and like my work. I'm getting already like 3 hours sleep. Like I'm like, I don't have time for that. Anyways, but I didn't want to fail again. So I had to put in effort and I had like my boyfriend who's pretty smart as well. I started getting him to help me like read over my assignments and just spend time with me, like fixing it and teaching me how to like edit and how to read properly. And it would take me forever to read because I used to have to read like 200 pages a day and then have to write all these like notes and everything. So it would get in my head.
This is taking me back.
And then when I finished university, I know it's a bit of a long story, but it's pretty inspiring. When after that thing, like obviously I clicked and I was like, okay, well, I don't like failing and I don't like being shit. I always want to be the best I can be. And I ended up graduating with distinctions and getting in the top 3% of my cohort and getting the Dean's Merit Award for being in the top percentage of my cohort. After failing my 2 things, I got HDs and like for every single subject after that. So it's never too late. You just got to apply yourself. And I was always that kind of person that just hated English. And I've never read a book in my life. I still haven't. The only reading I've ever done is the shit that I was forced to read in university.
Yeah.
So I'm not a reader.
That makes many of us, yeah.
Yeah, right. But I had to just do the shit that I didn't like and I had to teach myself how to comprehend writing and how to write so I could pass. And not only did I pass, like I said, I passed with distinctions. So I mean it was a big turnaround, but yeah. It doesn't mean that I like writing now, but I did it. And it just shows like if you fail, you know, you just got to put the effort in and try and find a way to learn.
So is that inherently in you, or is it something that you, had to learn and then brought to your boxing sort of as well? Because I assume, like, I mean, as an athlete, the whole, like, you have to push through these hard times and things you're bad at. Some people just stop there, but you just have to push yourself through that and the physical pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I had
I mean, it's a cliche, but are you like...
Much, you know, that's what
Okay, let's go back to that. Like, I mean, so...
No, I'm not really going to talk about it, but
okay,
well... I'm not going to go deep into that. That's okay.
No worries.
But it pretty much like... Sorry, just to put it simply, yeah, I got like a second chance at life. I was very lucky. I'm very lucky to be here. So then I feel like I wasted so much time being shit and failing and digging myself into the ground. You know what I mean? That when I kind of came out of the fucking darkness, you know, I was like, I don't want to waste any more time. You know, I want to make sure that I'm the best that I can be in everything that I do. And I want to be the best for me, you know, and, you know, you can't quit and you can't give up. And, yeah, so that's just how I am with everything, you know? So, yeah, just giving up, it's just not, I just can't do it. You know, I just can't quit. Like you said, you know, you see me fight with one eye. I fought with a snapped ankle in my debut fight. Yeah. You know, yeah, like it's just something that I think when you go through hell and back 1,000 times and you survive, it's kind of like, well, you know, nothing can really stop you or deter you, you know, and there's always light at the end of it. What I've noticed by setting goals, you know, is when you push through all those hard times and you get that success, is, you know, it's always worth it. I think bodybuilding is where it started for me. Going through as a bodybuilder and getting a mindset that you need for bodybuilding, putting myself through a different kind of hell with bodybuilding. But then when you stand on that stage and it's all paid off and you win and you get your physique looking like that. And I won, you know, most of my competitions. So it was always very rewarding. But the journey there was hell, that's for sure. But it just, I think that taught me that mindset as well.
It's funny you're going through the whole interview like in the sequence that I had planned as well, like in a way. So like okay, yeah. I mean, we all have well, everyone has to different degrees like that. I feel in their life, like there's that pivotal moment that changes always the pivotal shift, the adversity. So without going into detail, I mean, what happened, but I mean, what is the main thing that really you think shifted your mind and just started that change in your life? Was there a specific person, specific activity? You did say that bodybuilding, or just
Oh yeah, I suppose when I started bodybuilding, I mean, I went through something that my parents helped me with, and like I did think whatever, and once I got through that, it was like, okay, now I need to change, and I don't want to go back to what I was doing, and I don't want to go back to that kind of that environment and all that bad shit. So I started doing bodybuilding. I started at the gym, and then I saw some bodybuilders, and I was like, fuck, that looks like it would be really hard. Like a challenge, you know what I mean? And I wanted to do something that would challenge me. I had a coach for my bodybuilding, Arena Manta, who was just incredible for me. I was like kind of tomboyish, like not heaps, but I was like, I was a mechanic, like I wasn't really girly. Like I was girly, like I looked girly, but I wasn't like, I didn't act very girly.
Yeah, I know a couple of those I had in high school back in the day. Yeah. I know exactly the person you mean.
Yeah. Like, but I mean, like I was pretty dark, like in my teens and stuff like that. But like when I'm at this arena for my coaching, like, and when I did bodybuilding, we had to wear heels, and we had to like do all these like pretty stuff and look very feminine when we did figure, because I did figure, which is like just below bodybuilding. So you got like bodybuilding, which is like really masculine and the hands are closed, and then figures feminine in the heels, and you're very flowy, you're still flexing and you're showing your muscles, but it's not as like soft as say the bikini girls, but you got to still say feminine, and I think she kind of, and just her as well, how she is with her mindset. She was very hardcore, and you have to be hardcore to be a bodybuilder. You have to be hardcore to do well in bodybuilding. There's no shortcuts at all. Like you can see it on your skin straight away. You know what I mean? You're so lean that, when you stand up on no stage, you get found out if you've been cheating or you've been doing something wrong or you haven't done it right. So, it's very, very hardcore with the discipline. So it's very, I think bodybuilding is probably the hardest thing I've done.
Damn, yeah.
I don't know. Actually, everything I've done is hard. I mean, my master's degree was hell.
Oh yeah, massive.
I like to torture myself.
But actually, like,
I like to torture myself,
okay,
but
I'm not trying to be any amateur psychologist or anything, but do you think, like, this is me just spewing some bullshit, but is it? Do you think the fact that maybe you go after these super hard activities because they require so much work, so it's a huge distraction, and it just keeps you busy for an extended period of time? Do you think that's what it is?
Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah. I think so as well. I got ADHD, and I had that, like, I got diagnosed with that when I was young. And it's very hard if I'm not doing something. I'm not focused. I got hyper focus, and that's with my math. Like math is one of my hyper focus things. I mean, I don't think that like ADHD or any of those things are bad. I mean, I told my students that a lot. That like kids that they think, oh, that's it. They've got some kind of autism or ADD or ODD or whatever, and they think, oh, it's all over, and they try and use it as an excuse as well. But I actually think there's a lot of good things that come from that. And a lot of things that I do, I feel like I wouldn't be able to do if I wasn't so hyperactive and I wasn't so hyper focused on things. Yeah, I mean, I might be like tunnel visioned and like forget about everything else. And sometimes I have, really high anxiety because my mind's going like this. But I think it's very, it does help with a lot of things, especially if it's something that I'm obsessed about and I'm hyper focused on. It's when I don't have a goal, or when I don't have something that I'm able to put all my energy into, that I start getting really bad anxiety, and I start my mind starts going in circles and I get really restless, and that's when problems kind of start. But
I get you.
So I think so. I would say so. If I'm not busy or doing shit, maybe I have to deal with other things.
So I also have anxiety diagnosed, and so there's a lot of I've been very, very open with mental health, and I've made sure to be open towards others that I know are also struggling, friends and stuff. And do you feel, because you're working with kids, so Do you feel it's more talked about now? It's more accepted, and people are, because back in the day, like of course, it took me a while to even figure out what the hell was physically wrong with me, and it turns out it's the mental thing that affects the physical, right? But nowadays, I feel like a lot of people are more open about it, and you have people like from your own world, Tyson Fury, for example, is very open about it, and someone like that speaking out about it.
Well, definitely. Yeah. Well, definitely. You know, back in my day, 20 years ago, you know, it was, you know, the ADD and the ADHD was the main thing that, you know, everyone was getting kind of diagnosed with, and that was a thing. But when you had it, it was like, oh, you got ADD, or you got ADHD, or you know, it's bad. Like it was a bad thing. Like, oh, you're a bad kid. And it's like, I'm not a fucking bad kid. I just don't fucking. You're not interesting me, and if you can't keep me interested, I get restless, and then I don't want to do shit. You know what I mean? And whatever. So, and it's hard for me to actually stay focused if I'm not interested. Like, I can't even pretend to be focused. Even now, sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm not interested, I'm a bit off, you know. But I feel like, for example, for me in school, there's so many kids. We have so many kids at the school, and they all have, you know, their own profiles. You know, we have a lot of kids with anxiety, a lot of kids with a lot of kind of disorders. The school that I'm at now, we have like autism. We have, you know, kids with varying degrees of it, depending on the spectrum. But the school that I was at before the school I'm at now was a kind of like a behavior school. It was like a half school. We had like everything there. But we had like classrooms and teachers to help with everything, and they all have their own little set programs, and you know, to help to deal with that, you know, because anything can trigger kids as well. But it's much more accepting. Like, we have plans, like classroom plans. If anything happens, you know, you go through things to try and help the kids and stuff, where it's a lot more differentiation. It's a lot more each treating kids like individuals, you know, where before it was just like, okay, you're bad, like get out. You know what I mean? But now it's like, okay, well, this kid has, you know, ADHD, or this kid, you know, so maybe we just need to go out and go for a walk. You know, maybe it's go for a walk, you know, just get off your chair, go for a walk, or you know, it could be anything.
That's good. I wish,
you know, there's so many things.
We would have had that in our day as well. So, because I mean, I think like for a lot of us, it's people, we discover it later in our adult years, and then you start learning how to deal with it. Yeah. And it saves you a lot of time if you just, you know, figure it out, or have an adult explain to you what it is even beforehand. Yeah.
Yeah. But even kids, what I've noticed with kids, because like I said, I run boxing programs, and the last one that I had was a lot of the girls were anxiety, like, you know, the anxiety girls, and they're so young that even if they know, which they do know they have anxiety, they still can't deal with it. You know, they don't have the mental maturity or understanding or strength or whatever to be able to deal with it as much as you try. So like, we as teachers and the people that are in the school that are there for particular, you know, for those particular students and stuff, all we can do is offer that support and understanding, because it's the support and understanding that will help these kids, rather than being aggressive and starting to try and discipline them. You know what I mean? Like, if your kid's having really severe anxiety, you know, you're not going to force them to do something like they're crippled. You know what I mean? Like, you know, by forcing the students to do things like, or asking them to be better or stop being like that, or just do it, like, it's not going to work, you know? So having that understanding helps. I mean, don't get me wrong, not all teachers are like me, and not all teachers run by those rules, but that's not what we should be doing.
Bash people for a living. Yeah.
No, that's right. But yeah, it's definitely something that's a lot more, let me say, even accepted, or a lot more, there's a lot more awareness around it. You know, there's education for the kids as well, you know, and like, for example, like autism, I think there's like I know in Australia it's like 1 in 120 kids have autism. I think in America it's like 1 in 90. Oh. So, you know, are somewhere on the spectrum. That's the research from memory. But you know, so it's something that definitely has to be included in the classroom, and especially new teachers. I mean, old teachers is sometimes hard getting them out of their ways, but yeah, new teachers definitely need to be aware of it all. and people in general, obviously. Sorry, I'm going into teaching. Get me talking about teaching. I don't know if I talk about boxing more or teaching, but they're both very high up.
No worries. No, I like so, but because this
Sorry.
podcast is not just like I like to have a lot of fighters on because it's like a topic I love to talk about, and what I find interesting about fighters, and not like aside from all other individual athletes, is that they have to sort of become a brand, and that includes being authentic in all these other different and you're good all these other different areas, and just maximizing all your other skills outside of fighting as well, sort of to build that brand, I feel. And I find it interesting that's why every individual is so much different. That's why every single fighter is a lot more it's interesting still to have all these fighters on.
Yeah, but a lot of fighters don't realize that. A lot of fighters just think that, no, we just got to fight and got to be good at fighting and skills. I'm telling you right now, I bet you there's heaps of fighters in Ghana that no one knows about, or Japan that no one knows about because they're not getting promoted. They're not putting their brand out there because they can't. You know what I mean? Like it's, I don't care. Like there's, it is a big thing, marketing and getting known. How many female fighters do you know in Australia?
Yeah. Well, we're starting to know them, coincidentally in Australia because it's very up and coming. And I just my recent I had a recent guest on. She's a Bellator fighter, Janae Harding. She was my last guest as well, MMA fighter. So she's,
brilliant! See, the MMA, I feel like the MMA in Australia, is big. Like we have a lot of great MMA fighters in Australia, and they're on the UFC and they get that promotion. They also
came just out of nowhere all of a sudden. That's what,
Yeah, where boxing, it's not there yet.
No,
especially
although
women, especially the females.
Which is funny because in the the Olympic style, Olympic boxing, it's pretty like there's a lot of people coming up, right? But maybe making that transition to pro is lower,
Yeah. Well, women's pro boxing in Australia has only been legal since 2008.
Oh, that's it's funny, because even people forget that, for example, Ronda Rousey and UFC, that was the first female fighter to have to be a main event and the first one to fight even.
Ronda Rousey is a true trailblazer. She not only for MMA but for boxing as well. She opened society's eyes to female in combat sports. We as boxers can thank Ronda Rousey as well, because without Ronda Rousey, I don't even think we'd be where we are. Because she, even though we don't do MMA, that she still showed that females can fight, and it still helped.
Well, she also did, like, she used to do judo, right? She was a gold medalist in judo. And,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But, so that was only in 2013. I think she made her UFC debut, was 2013, 2014. So it's so young. And then to see how much is blown up is just crazy.
Yeah.
So, how do you see how do you go about like marketing yourself? What other things on the side are you doing that sort of help propel your notoriety sort of in boxing, or your following, getting viewers on you for your fights?
I have no idea. I just say what I want and do what I want.
I think that's also the basic I don't really try. The groundwork of it all.
Yeah. I think the what's the word? The interaction I have with my fans on Twitter, which is a big thing, because in the end, your fans are what pay your bill, really. The more fans you have, the more bums and seats, the more money you get. And if you have the fans on your side, a lot of the time, I mean, it's going to help you. And they promote me, you know what I mean? They always talk about me, tag me, retweeting me. They love it, you know what I mean? So, and I talk to them, and I think they love that about me, is that I interact with fans and people. I don't just sit back and just think that I'm, I've got all the followers and I've got a tick, and now I don't want to talk to anyone. It's not like that, because I actually enjoy talking to people. I enjoy conversation. I enjoy getting to know people. So it's really easy for me to have a banter and have a joke and engage with my fans. Some people aren't like that. Some people don't like social media. Some people don't like chatting, and that's fine. But sometimes you got to do what you don't like doing to get where you got to go. You know what I mean? There's no way I would be where I am right now if it wasn't for my fans and having that loyal fan base. They love me before they even saw me box, because they fell in love with the blonde bomber as a person, and the banter and just how I am, before they actually got to see me on the big screen. And that just shows that's the power. That's the power. You know what I mean? Because it was them screaming and calling my name and begging Eddie Hearn to get me to the UK, begging Eddie Hearn to put me on Matchroom, that he had to just go, fuck, all right, I'll put this
Really,
girl
that's
on.
how it went.
You know
Okay.
what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
also,
100%. That's how it went, because everyone was calling for me. You got to, you know what I mean? Like, he'd be dumb not to, like, with the amount of following that I have.
I can see that. I saw, because your face-to-face back and forth with Shannon, for me, got it. It's more like your personality was sort of, you're unintentionally funny sometimes. Like, it is the banter aspect of it. You're like, oh, this is, yeah.
Yeah. I built up my following, my fan base all through 2020. From March 2020, after being at a Fury Wilder fight in Vegas and seeing all the British fans, I was like, fuck, I need these fans, man. So I said, how do I get into the UK? Like, I want to fight in the UK. That means I want to fight with Eddie Hearn. How am I going to do that? And I didn't know. So my friend's like, man, if you want to get into boxing, you need to get on Twitter. It's like, all right, fuck Twitter. I don't want fucking Twitter, man. Like, I don't know how to use that shit. Like, anyways, I got on there and I realized that it was actually like, I enjoy it because I can actually talk to people about boxing, and people, like, there's actually people that can, and I love talking about boxing. I'm a boxing fan. So I got in there and I could just like post about fights, and I had so many people like commenting, and I was learning, and I was being able to talk about real fans about fights. And it was mad. It's like talking with your mates about boxing, but online, and and then I was like, okay, well, I'll just like sit on here and keep pushing it and keep talking to these guys and talking about boxing. And that's pretty much where it was. You know what I mean? I enjoyed doing it. And yeah, it's kind of came from there. And I just was doing interviews. Everyone thought I was really funny because I'm like, fuck this, and yeah, fucking blah, whatever. And like, here's my weigh-ins. Like, I don't give a fuck. I want to be hot. Like, and then people just, especially the British, they have the same kind of humor as me or as the Australians. And so they really took to it because they're like, this girl doesn't give a fuck. Like, because they're so used to the, what's the word? Like that prim and proper, institutionalized,
The media
kind
trained.
of, media trained girls that they're boring. They're too scared to say anything because fuck, I might say something wrong, like whatever. But I just don't care, and I think they like that. So everyone wanted to do interviews with me.
Yeah.
Because I was fun to interview, I suppose, because I just
We should do a podcast though.
And I wasn't doing anything.
We just start a podcast.
Sorry?
About boxing, just talking trash about boxing.
Yeah, I did have a podcast. I do have a podcast actually. It's called Punches from the Pods, but I haven't done anything. But I did it. I was doing a lot of it. I think 2019 and 2020. But I'm just too busy. You know what I mean?
Just record.
So, but it was all boxing talk. I just talked boxing. I did pre and post boxing analysts.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And then I would talk about topics in boxing, and then do all the news pre and post and all my fight breakdowns and stuff.
Because,
but anyways,
going back to the other Australian fighter, so Janae Harding, my recent guest, she had her fan base is so ride or die. Like she only has 35,000, but 35,000 followers, and the amount of also questions we got for her from her fan base was just more than people with way over 100,000 also. And it's because she has the same sort of strategy as you do. She connects with everyone. And she's going to start she likes to game as well. So she's going to start a Twitch and sort of to be able to interact and play with the fans as well. And I feel like that makes people even people who don't watch the sport, maybe they'll follow you for that or for the gaming or whatever. And then you're invested in you. They want to follow your career and they get interested in the sport because they want to see how the rest of the division does. Yeah. Exactly.
They just want to, if you can get them, if you're got that kind of personality that people just like, they don't care. They don't need to care about your boxing or if you do well. They just want to support you and they want to see you do well. They generally want to see you fucking do well. And that's what I found as well. Like my fans are the same, man. Like they're fucking ride or die. Like, I mean, they're so loyal and I love that, because they feel like they're my friends, which they are to me. Like my fans are like, they are my mates, like, cause I chat to them and stuff and, and so it's a bit more personal. And it's good like that.
That is great. Yeah. So what is England? I see you're trying to really connect with the English fan base a lot. think you're doing a lot for them. I think your recent merch line I saw was also in the colors of England. Was it for the Euros? That's at least
Yeah,
you used
yeah,
that.
that kind of wasn't on
Wasn't on
purpose.
purpose. By the way, it looks
That was
fantastic.
the good.
It's really I
That,
like the logo a lot too.
thank you.
It's I'm gonna start
Yeah.
buying my guests merch as well. I think that would be a cool thing. Because everyone who comes on the
That's
show,
cool.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
support
I mean,
automatically. Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah, my the guys that did my logos, Fit Warrior brand, they're from the US. They look after a lot of boxers here and MMA fighters as well. Actually, a lot of their gear, like you just like so many. Like if you go onto their website, www.ftwr.com, then you'll see how much stuff they do. And they design my logo. They do all my shirts and stuff for the US, but they just don't ship overseas. And a lot of my fan base, 40% of my fan base on Instagram is British, and on Twitter it's probably about 90% or 85% British. So I needed a company that would work with the UK. So I've got that. I got Dom's, those guys with the new merch there, and I absolutely love it. And they're doing all my fight tracksuits and stuff. And I honestly can't wait because they're sick. So it's going to be really, really cool. They're really talented.
So are you gonna walk out in your own gear in the future, or how does that work? Like your
What
own
do you
merch line, walk out to your fights?
I'm much. Oh
Would you do
yeah.
that?
I mean, I do. My corner always my. Oh, you mean like as in not having these guys doing it? Yeah. I don't know, man. Like there's so much to it. I rather like just to think about having to get organize someone printing and sending them off and stuff. Like that's a mission. I'm happy with someone else doing that shit. Like I do enough behind the scenes, man. Like that for me, it's I make a little bit of money for it, but it's more for my fans. I just want my fans to have something to be able to represent me, because they all want something. It's not even about me or making money. I don't even care about that. I'm not really as much as I know that I'm worth a lot of money and I can make a lot of money. It's not the goal for me. I just want to entertain. I want to have fun. I want to smash people up.
Well, that's a good mindset. I think that's the authentic. That's what a lot of athletes might miss, is that mindset a little bit, as they're more after the money. They're more after their keeping their zeros. They're not losing either. I don't know.
But the passion, it's a different kind of passion. My passion isn't money. My passion isn't about that. My passion is boxing. I've been a boxing fan since I was young. I love boxing. Everything about boxing. I can out-talk anyone when it comes to boxing. I know more about boxing than so many people that I talk to, and it's because I absolutely love it. I'm a fan of boxing. I've only been boxing for 4.5 years. You know what I mean? Shit. That's it. And and I've only been a pro for 2 years. The first year I had my pro debut, and then I snapped my ankle, so I was out for 8 months. Then the second year I fought in America, and then COVID hit. So realistically, I've had a really shit run, but I've only been pro for 2 years, and pretty much most of those 2 years, this is the longest stint I've actually been able to train for, like the last 6 months. But yeah, I mean, so I feel like for me, it was like coming into the sport not so young and being like, this is all I got and I need to make money from it. You know what I mean? I came into it as a fan and someone that wanted to, box and just, yeah.
Like, why did you get into it?
Enjoy it.
We're sort of ending with the beginning.
Boxing?
Why did you get into boxing? Why? I know you said you're a fan. So you were a fan before you were doing it, So
yeah, definitely. I mean, I started martial arts when I was 5. So I was always into combat sports. I did karate, did that for like 8 years, and in my teens I did kickboxing and Muay Thai, but I couldn't fight because it wasn't legal for women to fight back then. Like I said, in 2000s and like 90s, 2000s, it was illegal in most parts of Australia for women to compete in combat sports. So yeah, but I was always into it. And then I went into bodybuilding because I couldn't compete in boxing or in fighting in general. And then when it became legal to fight, I was already on my bodybuilding path. And then when I've achieved everything in bodybuilding, I was like, what do I want to do? Like, what have I always wanted to do? And I'm like, man, I've always enjoyed fighting. I've always enjoyed combat sports. I'm a big boxing fan. So yeah, like I'm gonna do boxing. Like when I was in my teens, the reason I did kickboxing and Muay Thai is because that's what girls did. You know, like no one did boxing. Boxing wasn't a female. Like it was really hard to find boxing gyms around. And the whole time while I was bodybuilding, I would do card girling. For 10 years, I did card girling. From the age of 18, I started doing card girling, and I was one of the main
sport, yeah, in some way.
Because I loved the fights and I loved being ringside to the fights. So, man, I used to get paid probably more than some of the fighters. Like
that's still the case. Yeah, that is still the case.
Yeah,
especially in UFC.
Yeah, I got flown all around, all around Australia to card girl fights for TVs, and I'd be sitting there, ringside with some great fights and kickboxing, Muay Thai, boxing, all of it. I did that for 10 years, and then I was like, fuck. I want to get inside the ropes now. So yeah, it's kind of be like that. Like it was like always it was like everything led to that,
Good gig.
Everything led to me actually getting in there and fighting. It wasn't like I was like, never fucking punched nothing in my life. And then I was like, I'm going to go do some boxercise and I'll get fit. Nah. When I walked into the boxing gym, I was like, I want to fight. And I remember when I started, I was like, why the fuck did I say I want to fight? Because it was so hard, because I've just gone from bodybuilding.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even run across the road. Like it was no cardio at all. Like I'm too scared to run because I'll lose my muscle. You know what I mean? Like it was all static. It was all like very controlled movement. It was all heavy. Like I was very muscly. And then it was like, okay, now I got to get into boxing, which is the complete opposite. And it was so hard, And I smoked as well. I smoked heaps, like a pack of cigarettes a day and stuff. And when I started boxing, I gave it all up. But I was like, I remember thinking, why did I say I was going to do this?
Yeah.
I was like, why did I say I was going to do this? Because when I say I'm going to do something, I've got to do it. I can't quit. If I've said I'm going to do something, I've got to follow through.
Yeah.
And I got so many injuries. Like the first year, I was just riddled with injury after injury. I couldn't get consistent in training because of all the injuries, because my body's like, what the fuck are you doing, Ebanie? Like, what are you doing? Like, what is this twisting and what is this jumping around and whatever,
It's you're engaging such different muscle groups that it's,
yeah,
people don't understand.
And and even my lungs, like I was like, but
how many rounds could you go then?
Yeah,
without gassing out?
Yeah, I can't even remember, honestly. Like it was full. And then I was still trying to do a little bit of weights as well. And it came to a point where one of my friends who was in boxing said to me, Ebanie, are you a bodybuilder or are you a boxer? And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, we can't keep doing bodybuilding training and then boxing. Like it doesn't work, you know what I mean? Like it's not going to work. And I was just so scared because I don't know if you know much about bodybuilding, but I mean, it's a head fuck. I just didn't want to lose my muscle. Like I worked so hard to build all that muscle. I was like, oh, I'm going to lose my bum. I'm going to lose my legs. And anyways, the day that I finally like let go of bodybuilding and let go of the weights, and I haven't lifted weights since for 5 years or something. But I mean, that was when I was like.
But do you still do it for boxing though? Because I mean, the trainings I do lift for just with the purpose. Like my whole training is aimed at boxing mostly. So even you engage certain muscle groups, certain exercises, that help with my explosivity and stuff like that.
I have a strength and conditioning coach, but I wouldn't say it's weights. I wouldn't call it weights. It's more like explosive and speed stuff, because the last thing I need is strength. I haven't been boxing that long. So I rather spend an hour doing skills and drills on top of my already boxing session than I would an hour doing weights trying to get strength. I don't need strength. You know what I mean? I don't need those things.
No.
There's things that I need, like speed and explosive stuff, which I wouldn't even call it weights, really.
No, okay. So like even when I bench, I feel like it's like maybe 50, 60 kgs, stuff like that, So it's just really.
Yeah, I'm definitely.
I'm not training to get big, is what it is.
Yeah. Like even you talk to my strength and conditioning coach, I'm like, I don't want to do weights. I said to him, don't want to do weights. Like, and he goes, I'll have to give you a little bit of this. Like, it might be like some fucking, I don't know, deadlift thing, and like a row or something, and then that's like really kind of it. Like, because I hate it, man. I did it for 10 years. I forced myself to do it. Like, and I don't think I need it. Like, to that degree, where I'm doing a lot of lifts. Like we might do 3 lifts and that's it.
So when you were doing the bodybuilding though, you weren't enjoying the lifting part of the bodybuilding?
No.
Oh.
No, I just did it because I had to do it. That's what I had to do to get where I wanted to be. And I was just good at it. I was good at bodybuilding. I kept winning, and because I put in the work and I had the physique, I had the genetics, the bone structure for it, you know what I mean? And I mean, I liked training legs. because I used to squat 130 kilos for like 8 reps. And I used to leg press like 450 kilos for like 10 reps. Like, this is no word of a lie. And deadlift like 120, 130 kilos. And that was for reps, you know. I mean, I'm small, so I don't have that far to go. But I was really strong. And I used to love training legs because everyone would stop and they'd all watch me, you know, lift and stuff. And that was cool. But I mean, other than that, yeah, I wouldn't say that I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed being on stage and I enjoyed winning, and that's what it took to win. So that's what I did.
So
you know what I mean? Well, that's the difference with boxing. Like, I fucking love boxing. I enjoy it. I mean, I hate running, but I love boxing. So it's not a punishment. I go to the gym. I'm not forcing myself to do something I don't want to do.
Do you think that? Do you believe that as long as you're doing what you're passionate about and you're putting everything into that you're inevitably gonna succeed? Because
yeah. I mean, it depends. Like, you can put everything you want in bodybuilding, but if you don't have the bone structure for it, genetics, you might never win because you don't have the physical attributes that take. You know, do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you can always succeed and be your best.
But with boxing, it worked out. And with let's say maybe with podcasting, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like, no matter what you do, if you put everything in it, you do everything right, then of course you're gonna be successful in your own rights. But you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're gonna achieve what you need to achieve and be your best. And that's the main thing, is that you're being your best. It's, you know, it's not always about winning. It's not always about being the best. Right. It's about being your best.
Yeah.
You know, and if you know you've done everything that you need to do and everything right, and you've taken all the steps, then that's all you can do. Then in the end, win or lose, you've done your best. You know, and I think that's really important. Yeah. Whereas if you take shortcuts, you know, and you cheat and you do this, then, you know, if you don't win, you can't really be like, oh, well, I tried my hardest. No, you fucking didn't.
Tried my hardest on the weekends.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah.
Yeah. So, but how much muscle mass did you have to lose, actually?
I think I've lost probably about 7 kilos, maybe.
7 kilos of muscle.
Because I would say at least, if you, it doesn't look like much, but I'm 5 foot.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I mean,
maybe.
you want to look at what's
I was gonna say, it doesn't
honestly
sound too bad,
like, I don't know if you I would put on, say, a kilo for each comp. I maybe put on an extra kilo and a half over a year or whatever, because I was natural, and you could see it, man. You could definitely see it.
Yeah.
People think you need to put on a lot of muscle, but when you're walking around it, if you're standing on stage, you're like 6% body fat. Like, you'll see those 3 kilos, especially when you're only 5 foot.
That's true.
But I feel like, for example, like what I weigh in for my fights, that's what I used to weigh in on stage. And I was like I said, 5-6% body fat as a female and a muscly ball. If I was to weigh that, if I was to be that percentage body fat now, I'd probably be looking at weighing about 45 kilos, I reckon. Maybe 46 kilos. Where now, yeah.
Well,
like
I guess
said,
non-fighting
boxing,
fans don't understand is that how much oxygen muscle takes off you as well. Like, there was a reason why AJ lost all that muscle, slimmed down the second time against Ruiz.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. Because it takes your oxygen. When I first started boxing, that's another thing. Fuck, man. Like, I had to be so much fitter than everyone else. I'd push myself so much harder because I needed to be fit enough to carry my muscle. I had to be fit enough for my legs to be able to be, you know, be working for that long, because they would just like take everything from me, you know what I mean? So yeah, but now I'm beyond, like, I made that transition properly. I'd say I'm, you know, nowhere near a bodybuilding physique anymore. And I've made that transition. But yeah, definitely at the beginning it was tough.
Yeah. Well, it happened pretty quickly. It's 4.5 years ago you started.
Yeah, I had my first fight 4.5 years ago, and I think I trained inconsistently for about a year before that.
All right. And what's the first fight?
Sorry, my
battery's
dying. Sorry.
We're close to the ending. What's the first fight? What's the first fight you remember, or at least that really sticks in your memory that you watched? Like one that really intrigued you.
I think Costa and Hatton.
Yeah.
Broke my heart.
Yeah, probably. He was a hero over there, huh? He's yeah, he is such a legend. Yeah. Was that his first loss? Or what?
I think it was his second. No, but I mean, Tyson, all those old school ones like that is very, I mean, it's hard. Like I used to get DVDs or tapes,
Wow, you really, yeah.
but yeah, cassettes. Yeah. But Costa Zoo was my hero in my teens. I used to watch everything Costa Zoo, being Australian, obviously, and we adopted him. He kind of adopted us as well.
Yeah.
But
I feel like everyone in the Australasia region sort of would look up to him if you were in combat sports.
Definitely. I dated a guy that had like a full rat's tail, like the same Costa Zoo rat's tail.
His twin.
I was like, yeah, no, it was nothing like him, but he had the thing, and I thought that was really cool when I was younger. I was like, yeah, you look like Costa Zoo, I love it.
You know what's funny? Like, for me, my first real, I was a bit late, I guess 2008, was, because I always used to watch the Olympic boxers from Jordan, and because that's where I grew up. I'm half Jordanian. And
okay, yeah.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, there was the first time I really followed hype and a promotion was the De La Hoya Pacquiao, 2008. Because they were really hyping up this, there's this little Filipino guy, and then there is the legendary De La Hoya who will never be beat by, And then I see this guy dismantle De La Hoya. And since then, until now, I'm still he might be, if not the favorite, one of my favorite fighters still. And I think he's going to piece up Errol Spence even.
I'm totally on fucking Manny Pacquiao. I'm all Manny Pacquiao. Like,
oh, nice.
I mean, I would pick Manny Pacquiao with Thurman 100%. Like, I was the only
one. Dude, I did, and
I
bet Pacquiao by decision, and I had it was 4-1, and I had nice winnings.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, all my favorite fights, like my favorite fights, are all Mexicans. For me to say like the Costa Zoo, but I would say like, but I didn't watch them live. I watched them later. You know what I mean? Like all the Barrera and Eric Morales fights, Manny Pacquiao, Marquez, like these kind of fights is what really, for me, was like they're my favorite kind of fights. And if you look at my style, like it's almost like I just wanted to be a little Mexican.
It's true. It's true.
That.
So, I remember one time I was trying to, I watched this crazy Mike Tyson training. And I tried to sort of emulate it. I was like, next training, I saw the bag. I'm like, this is all the movements. Gassed out so fast. In the record time. So let's move into the couple of fan questions, and then I can let you go.
Cool.
So, let's see. Sabia Al-Jurani says, How did you feel mentally in between rounds when your eye swelled up against Shannon?
How did I feel mentally? I was just like, nothing. I didn't really think about my eye, to be honest.
You obviously couldn't see, I just knew it was right?
I couldn't see from the eighth round. The eighth round, it was really closing. I was actually thinking, especially like, please don't stop the fight. Like I was thinking, please don't stop the fight. Like I was trying to turn this way, like, because for the ref, because he'd come over and I would be like this, and I was like, I just didn't want the fight to be stopped. And I remember, I think it was after the 8th round or after the 9th round. And when I said I couldn't see, I remember sitting there thinking, fuck, if the doctor asked me if I can see, and I said, yeah, I can see. Like, I will fucking lie. I don't care. Like, I'm going to tell him I can see, because even though my eye was completely shut. You know what I mean? I just had to stay calm. You know what I mean? I still had one arm. I still had one eye, 2 arms and 2 legs. So I just had to go and do what I could do. It was a little bit frustrating in the 9th round. Because she was hitting me, it was like, felt like a knife being stabbed into my eye. Like it was like every time she punched me and it landed on the bone there, it was so sharp, like a knife. Like she was actually just stabbing my eye. It was pretty crazy. And I just kept fuck again. I got right hook all the time. Yeah, with the right hand, you know what I mean? And I'm like, fuck again. Like I was trying to stick my hand to my head, but it was just like, she was, a lot of times, sometimes it was close, it would just be like a sneaky one. And it was like, I just couldn't see it. So then, and my corner, I remember them yelling shit at me, or my coach from home yelling stuff at me during that 9th round. And I'm sitting there thinking, I can't fucking see. Shut up. I can't, you know what I mean? Like,
let me just figure this out myself. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why after the 9th, I went back and I'm like, I actually can't see. Like, I need some kind of different directions. And, you know, that's why one of my coaches said, you know, he's like, just avoid it. Just go to the right, you know, go to your right to avoid her right hand. And but to be honest, that 10th round, I think I won. Like, she hardly touched me for the first minute and a half. Like, you know, I mean, I like, because I was doing that. So we just had to change the tactics to try and avoid that. And yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that main thing is that I remember was just thinking, I hope they don't stop the fight, to be honest. But it wasn't hard for me to fight through that. Like, that was nothing compared to my snapped ankle that I had to fight through my debut. That was bad. That was fucked. Like, that was really bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you lose your feet, you can't move to the right either to sort of avoid any shots.
It was so painful.
Oh my God.
Yeah, when I was sitting down in the corner, like sitting down, I'm like, my ankle, it was throbbing, like it was killing me. You know what I mean? Where my eye was sore, but it was more sore when she was punching it and hitting it. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it was just uncomfortable because it was so swollen.
Maybe she wasn't expecting the retreat because you were just in her face from the beginning, and suddenly you're. Yeah. So here's a British fan, Harvey W. Brown asks, "Would you ever consider a move to England for your boxing career?"
I would love to move to England. Unfortunately, I have a boyfriend at home waiting for me and a cat. So, and he won't move to England. So yeah, no, unfortunately, it's not possible.
Well,
yeah, we have a pretty
stick to
good
fighting
setup,
in England then.
Yeah.
Samuel the God 90. What's the biggest thing that is holding back women's boxing at the moment? Kind of touched upon that, but
yeah, I don't know. We need more promotion, for all around promotion. From, you know, obviously the promoters from the channels. We got Eddie Hearn, but we need the other, like, Americans to really embrace women's boxing and be serious about it. I think a lot of the American promoters are just joining the bandwagon and they don't really believe in it, like, say, Eddie does. They're just doing it because, they got to put a girl fight on. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, I don't think it's as sincere as, say, the UFC or as sincere as Eddie Hearn. And yeah, I think that's all. Patience as well.
That's it.
You know, good things come. It takes time. We're only just starting and can't expect it to go like that overnight, unfortunately. So we just got to keep doing what we're doing, keep putting on good performances, keep training hard, keep getting good fights, and it will grow. At
some point, they're going to have to follow Eddie Hearn anyway, so.
Yeah.
He's still young. Amer Shalabi Interiors. Okay. What's your dream matchup? And which two fighters, past or present, would you like to see fight?
What's my dream matchup?
I guess he means
as in
yours.
Who do I want to see fight?
Who do you want to fight the most? And then which two fighters from past or present would you like to see fight?
Well, I want to have a rematch with old Shanny, mate. That would be my dream fight, you know. For obviously more reasons than one. You know, the fans, and just for me, it was a good fight. I mean, there's plenty of fighters that I'd like to fight. I want to fight Mexican fighters. I'd love to fight, you know, like Argentinian guys, like girls, like those kind of girls that will fight with me toe to toe, because that's kind of fights that I like. But no one really wants to do it with me. But I think that the South Americans will. So I'd love to have a fight with any of them, any of those champs. And I would be Tyson. I'd want to be ringside to a Mike Tyson fight.
Oh yeah,
it's so exciting. Yeah.
Tyson against anyone.
Yeah, against anyone. Yeah, fuck, I don't care.
Tyson against me. No, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Mr. Music, that's the last one here. Mr. Music Army says, what music do you listen to? Are there any lesser known artists that you like?
I'm not really a music person, to be honest. Don't really listen to much music. If I'm in the gym, I'm usually just listening to like 90s, early 2000s hip hop.
Nice, okay.
Otherwise, like just meditative kind of music to keep me chilled the fuck out, because I'm really highly strung, so I need to just chill out. But yeah, I mean, I don't like noise, I don't like sounds, I don't like, when I'm in a car, I don't listen to music. When I'm at home, I don't listen to music. Only time I listen to music is in the gym. If I'm running, I'm usually listening to podcasts to keep my mind off the fact that I have to run, because I hate running. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's it.
Great. Thank you so much. Hey, I wanted to ask you one last question.
Yeah.
You have some tattoos. Do you have a favorite? Which tattoo do you like the most?
I don't know, probably my whole leg, to be honest.
The whole leg tattoo.
I think it's just very artistic. Yeah. So I like that. The phoenix. I've got a big phoenix, which is like a symbolism of rising from the ashes. So I really love that, I'd say.
Nice. All right. Hey, thank you so much for doing this, Ebanie. It was so
All
nice to
good.
meet you. Great. We'll be looking
too.
forward to your next fight. We'll be rooting for you. And hey, I think you're gonna have a belt before you retire. So let's see that
I
happen.
hope so. Thank you so much.
Great.
That is the plan. I appreciate it. Thanks for getting me on, guys.
Awesome.
And thanks for everyone that requested me and all my fans. I appreciate you all. And I'm looking forward to putting on another great performance for everyone.
Till next time.